ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us. I imagine there'll be more people who might join us as this continues. We're recording this so that we can post it on YouTube. And I'm going to hand this over to the counselors. I'm just going to kind of manage the presentation, and then please feel free to put questions in the chat box and I will share them. So who would like to begin?
I'll begin, Ann. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We all agree that time is really precious. We ask ourselves, will I be on time for school, for work, for a meeting? Students ask, will I be able to finish that project on time? We often wonder at the end of the day, where's all the time gone? Did I waste too much time today? So managing that time is really important for everyone, whether it's adhering to a set schedule, such as we are accustomed to when classes are in session or work is going on, or on a weekend, to an unscheduled situation where we have to manage our time accordingly. But then we have to now manage our time in light of the new schedule that we are experiencing over the past few weeks. So this afternoon, we want to talk a little bit about time management as it relates to us now and going forward in the future. So first, we're going to get a sense with some reflections from the participants about how the time has been spent. And then we're going to look at a model for time management on a video. And we'll continue with some tips to keep in mind to deal with the current school and home situation in what we hope is going to be suggestions for a most productive and rewarding situation. So first, let's look at the daily quarantine questions. There are 7 questions, and I'd like you to look them over. We would invite the participants to please respond to the questions. What I'd like to do is to divide it into 3 questions, really, 3 greater questions. First, looking at question 1 and 2, who am I checking on or connecting with today? And what expectations of normal am I letting go of today in light of the current situation? So I would ask you to raise your hand, and you can raise your hand by clicking on the participant, and we'll call on you. So let's look at 1 and 2. Who am I checking in on or connecting with today? And what expectations of normal am I letting go of today?
Would anyone like to share?
Hi, Ann. It's Margaret Bajer.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi, who am I checking in on? My cousins in Ohio, my sister in Florida, my elderly friend in over in Yonkers, and who are we connecting with today? Basically our main connections are with the school, with other parents, with teachers. So that would be my answer for number 1.
Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Anyone else want to share?
Okay, shall we go on? Let's look at 3, 4, and 5. How am I getting outside today? How am I moving my body? And how am I expressing my creativity? There are a few sort of wide-ranging questions. Would anyone like to comment on any one or more of those?
Sorry, my son's coming in from outside and getting water.
Okay, I see a comment from Henry. Checking in on grandmother every day. That's great. All right, Tom Viviano, walking the dog. Fantastic. Catherine's walking around Bronxville. Okay.
6 feet away, good.
Social distancing, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Lisa, trying to walk with the family each day and again, distancing, right? Yes, okay, thank you. It's great. Online yoga, fantastic, okay. Jim's running at night. Do you like to run at night, Jim? Yeah, wonderful. Going around during the day, great, How about creativity? Can anybody respond to ways in which you're expressing your creativity today? Took up knitting, fantastic.
I've been playing guitar.
That's great. New recipes, Okay, anyone else? Working out in the yard and raking, oh, fantastic. It's spring, right? Fantastic, Anne. Okay, cooking, all right. It's wonderful, that's good to see. Anybody else before we move on?
I like Margaret's learning Xcode.
Oh, all right.
Good for you.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's go on to the last two. What type of self-care am I practicing today? And what am I grateful for? Well, I'm grateful for the sunshine for one. It's wonderful to see.
Nice meditation, sleep, home cooked meals. A lot of home cooked meals.
Mm-hmm. Good health, great. Yeah, yeah. Able to cook dinner, that's wonderful. Yeah, nothing like a home cooked meal, really. Anyone else? Friends, yeah. I must say, I'm really grateful for Zoom. It's been a wonderful opportunity to connect with everybody, and it's so fantastic to be able to see people. Thank you, Margaret. Great. Our school.
Ready to move to the next slide, Anne?
Yes, let's move
Great.
now. Aaron Kine's going to introduce the video.
I wasn't sure if I needed to be unmuted or I can do it myself. Anyways, it's nice to see so many of you. Just a little introduction. I think in regards to time management, I think when we sat down to put this together, the sort of low-hanging fruit for time management is like a simple to-do list, which all of us are very familiar with. But since we have like so much unstructured time on our hands, a to-do list doesn't really address when to start what task. And I thought that we should look for a strategy that really kind of dials in our focus and put some like guardrails on our time so we are able to really use our time effectively, because at least for the students in the audience, like they still have school, they have work, school work to be done. So you can't just say, all right, sometime between 9 o'clock and 11:30 I'm going to get this assignment done, or sometime between 9 o'clock and 11:30 I'm going to study. Like you really need you need to bookend your time. And so what I found was a nice video about how I guess one of the best in the business uses his time. And I guess if Anne's able to get it to load, we'll learn a little bit about Elon Musk's time management strategy.
So just let me know if you can't see this. Are you seeing the video, Aaron?
Yeah, you're good. There's just no audio.
There's no audio. Okay. But the video is being shared.
Yes. So it could just be below on your screen, that audio thing. It could be that.
Okay, let me try that.
Could be your actual computer. No.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Sorry, this is our first time trying to run a video within a presentation on a Zoom. Other thoughts? What I might be able to do?
Just at your like bottom right toolbar, maybe like your computer
Okay,
audio.
try that. Yep, let me try that.
And then one other thing, maybe take out your headphones. Can you hear it in your headphones?
Yeah.
You could try sharing it with us individually.
Unmute you, is that what you said?
Oh, how,
Sharing it with us individually. So that,
oh, there
Oh,
it
there
is.
you go.
So you can hear it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let me rewind or reload and we'll start again. Thanks.
Thanks, Ann.
Yep.
It is no secret that Elon Musk has an insane work schedule, working more than double the hours of the average full-time worker.
And you know, now I'm kind of in the 80 to 90, which is more manageable. But you know, that if you divide that by 2, it's only like, you know, maybe 45 hours per company, which is not much if when there's a lot of things going on.
I feel like a slacker. I mean,
Yeah.
and that time is split between many different projects. Most of it goes to his main companies, Tesla and SpaceX, but he also spent
We lost audio.
children, and you've got what is possibly one of the busiest and most hectic daily schedules of anybody on this planet. Now, in contrast to the video that I did about Ben Franklin just a few months ago, with Elon Musk, we don't have a source that gives us a super granular look at his daily schedule, other than a few tidbits that he's revealed in interviews, such as the fact that he spends about 80% of his time on design and engineering, despite what most people might think.
I think a lot of people think I must spend a lot of time with media or on businessy things, but actually almost all my time, like 80% of it is spent on engineering design.
But what we do know about is the method that he uses to keep his schedule organized and to plan out his day. Musk actually plans his day in 5-minute increments and has everything pre-planned in advance. This is a technique called time boxing. And it's actually used by lots of other people, including Bill Gates and Cal Newport, though Cal calls it time blocking. Essentially, time boxing, or time blocking if you want to call it that, or heck, time bloxing, I'm not going to stop you, is the practice of setting a fixed amount of time for each task that you have to do and integrating those blocks of time into your daily schedule. I use this technique a lot with my own work, and because people like Musk and Bill Gates and Cal Newport and many others find it so useful, today I wanted to break down exactly how you can use time boxing most effectively in your own work. So let's start with the obvious question. Why use this technique? Why time box your schedule? And I know there are going to be critics of this technique right off the bat who are going to say scheduling your entire day in advance basically makes you a robot, dude. Why would you want to do that? And I got to say, number one, we humans really give robots a bad rap sometimes. But number two, this is kind of looking at it from the wrong perspective. Yes, scheduling your day in advance does mean that you're going to be adhering to a predetermined plan and that you're going to have less unstructured free time. But as you might know, unstructured free time can sometimes be a bad thing. As Parkinson's law states, work tends to expand to fill the time allotted for it. So essentially, time boxing creates a useful limitation that can actually make you more productive. First and foremost, it takes a lot of the choice out of the moment of what you're going to work on because you are adhering to a plan, so you spend less time figuring out what you're going to do in the first place. And number two, because you have a limited amount of time, you aren't going to waste it. You're going to be focusing a lot more intently. And in the case of people like Musk and Bill Gates, they probably need to use this technique. They've got so many commitments, so many balls in the air that without pre-planning their schedule and keeping it really, really organized, things are bound to slip through the cracks. Okay, so if I've got you convinced, let's talk about how to use time boxing. And the simplest way to do it is the way that I like to do it, where I write out my daily plan either on my whiteboard or on a piece of notebook paper, and I just estimate the amount of time each task is going to take. So I don't actually put it on a calendar and give it start and stop times of the day. I just say this is going to take me 20 minutes, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. If you're somebody like me, it is no secret that Elon Musk has
It just loops. That's it. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
great.
So just a few like kind of closing thoughts about the video, and then Ms. Pelican's gonna cover some more day-to-day stuff. First off, at the end of the presentation, there's a link to the entire video where the YouTuber goes on to talk about how to refine your time and measure your time and things of that nature. But I think what, there was a number of things I liked about this. One, that, the visionary Elon Musk uses this, so there's got to be something to it. But more practically, again, this idea of like unstructured free time. So if you're using this time blocking method, you're really putting structure around your free time and taking the choice out of the equation. So rather than, personally speaking, kind of like pacing back and forth from my living room to my kitchen to my bedroom, thinking about what I'm going to do next, you kind of have this finite block of time, and you have tasks embedded in the time that you're going to work on. And then number two, which he pointed out, is this idea of limited time. So I was thinking about how when we're in school, we have a full school day, and then we have practice or obligations, and we have to get home and eat and shower and change, and then we have a really small window of time to get our work done. And for those students, they might remember that period of time they were like most effective because they had this really small window where they knew a certain amount of things had to get done. And so it's obviously impossible to replicate that given the kind of current climate, but with this strategy, you're able to kind of enforce it on yourself, that all right, I have 2 hours to do all my work, or I have 1 hour to get this assignment done. So you're kind of like self-imposing these kind of environmental deadlines that you used to have in the past when things were, normal, under this, kind of new normal. I guess with that, Andrea, I'm going to popcorn it over to you.
Yep. Hi, everybody. So just some time management tips. Probably many of you are doing some of these things already, but given this current climate, it is especially important to stick to a schedule, especially Monday through Friday. Whether you're a student or parent who's on with us, we all need to stick to a schedule, because the schedule, allows us to keep busy, number one, stay motivated, also feel successful, that we've, accomplished things every day, and also allows you just to stay hopefully positive and focused. So waking up at the same time Monday through Friday is very important. And then of course to shower and dress just like you were if we were physically going to school, eating a good healthy breakfast, and then of course attending all of your classes. One of the things I've recommended to a few of my students who I've been meeting with online is to eat lunch with friends, even if it's, that 15-minute time slot in between a B block and C block. Because normally if we were at school, yeah, you would have a longer time to eat lunch, but it's still helping you to make that connection, to check in with a friend or two, and then, just have that downtime like you would at school. Planning exercise in your schedule around the same time every day. So whether it's going on a walk or a run, riding your bike. I know some students have talked about riding their bikes around town or, wherever they are. Walking your dog if you're lucky enough to have a dog, although the dogs may be sick of going on walks at this point for those of you that have one. And then of course, yoga, meditation is a great way to, decompress, and just get some physical activity in. And then of course, if you are in clubs, for the students who are with us, if you're in clubs, make sure you're attending those club meetings when your advisor schedules them. Again, that is just helping you to stay on a schedule. And it's also allowing you to make those connections with your peers and your group members and that teacher or that advisor. I think Ellen's going to jump in.
Yes. Continuing on with some time management tips for after school. For your assignments, complete them in the afternoon and submit them when you're finished. Don't wait until the next morning. Use that after school time as your defined work time. That way you can go to sleep with a clear head, knowing that your work for the evening is done and that morning time can be yours to use for other things. Along with that, make sure you have a consistent, we talked about consistent wake up time. Also, you should really have a consistent bedtime every night, even though you can sleep a little later than we did when we were in the building. With that consistent wake up time, you should have a consistent bedtime that is in line with, somewhat what a normal bedtime should be. It might be a tiny bit later than it was when you were in school, but it should be consistent and reasonable. Take breaks when you're doing assignments. These breaks should be electronic, free, no screen time. It's tempting, but that's a real time sucker, as we all know. 5 minutes on Instagram turns quickly into half an hour. So walk around, get a drink, chat with a sibling, open the window, take a breath of fresh air, whatever you can do for little breaks, jumping jacks, whatever floats your boat. If you have questions for your teachers, email them. The teachers are very responsive. I know we're used to being able to find a teacher and pop in between classes, but email is the new version of that, and the teachers are really responsive to questions. Attend extra help in the morning. That's a very useful time, same way we would attend extra help when it was in a building. And of course, email our wonderful librarian, Mrs. Zan, for assistance in finding sources of information. Very helpful. Other things to think about. Maintain a positive attitude. Easier said than done. This is a very unusual time. It's hard to think of things. We have to frame ourselves differently. We have to be kind to ourselves and kind to others. Our expectations are different. Our daily life is different. You're in close quarters with your family, you're in close quarters with your siblings. The way you communicate with your friends is different. Just if you paint yourself with a lens of kindness and treat others like you want to be treated, try to have a good energy and think of things in the best way possible. And on the technical side, try to use a calendar or a whiteboard or a phone, or make yourself a chart, something that you can do to define the tasks. Because when our days are a long span of time in the same place and the time can be undefined, the best thing to do, even if you're not going to be doing the exact same method as Elon Musk, is to use something you can do to define it. So find that method that works for you and chart your path for your day. And that way you can kind of have something to look at to know where you're going and not feel like you have no, anchor. So those are some time management tips that we put together.
Yeah, so picking up on Ellen's phone usage, which I guess is a double-edged sword, just a few things that you could look into electronically to help you manage your time. So the YouTuber mentioned this Do Now app, which is specifically for this time boxing technique. It's on Android. He also mentioned something for Apple, but I couldn't find it in the Apple Store, but I'm sure there's other apps to do time boxing in the Apple Store. Stay Focused is like a Google Chrome extension that allows you to put in different websites and the amount of time that you want to stay away from them. And it's going to block you from those sites. Something that I've heard students use in the past and has been really helpful. So you could look into that. Also, by the way, those are all like links to the various apps or extensions. So when you get this presentation, you can get right to it. Toggle is another thing from the YouTube video that allows you to track your time and again, like kind of refine how much time you need for certain tasks. And lastly, these are obviously things that we found, and there's obviously more, but this was actually kind of interesting. This Forest app locks your phone for whatever amount of time that you ask it to. And while your phone is locked, you kind of like build a forest within this app. And so it's like kind of there's like some gamification to staying away from your phone. And as you build your forest, you can get badges and, you know, whatever other things that are built into the game. You can share your forest with your friends if they have the app as well. So just like another maybe more entertaining way to not use your phone, if that makes any sense. But you know, there's a lot out there. This is obviously not you know, there's more to be done. You know, clearly the simple notes you know, app in your phone can do a lot for you. I think to Ms. Cohn's point, you know, really just whatever works for you is what's best. You know, a lot of people need to take something and make it their own. So whether it be the time boxing, the to-do list, or anything else that you come across, like just like mold it to what works best for you, and then just run with it. I'm gonna turn it over to Anne.
We have some activities to include in your day. First suggestion is create or restore a family tradition. Remember when you had Taco Tuesdays, or when everybody would bake a cake or brownies together from scratch, that is. So Friday or Saturday movie night, I've heard of a number of families who are doing this. And how about games? Where are those Scrabble, Monopoly games that we have? I'm sure you can dust them off and pull them out if you haven't done that already. And here's a place for the 1,000-piece puzzle for people to get together to try to complete, okay? And it's really important, since we spend so much time on the computer, on the screens during the day, to spend some time away from the screen. Draw, paint, read a magazine or a book that you have sitting on the shelf that you wanted to look at. Play an instrument, even if it's one that you played and have now stored away somewhere. Plant some seeds, either in your garden or in a pot on the windowsill. Help with chores. I know it would really be great if you could get back to the wonderful habit of picking up and doing a great job. I know most of you do that already, students, but surprise your families that you're really doing this. Talk to your parents and siblings. Make time to chat, to ask their opinion on things, to ask how they feel about things. And then these are some more wonderful suggestions. Write a note to someone who is living at a distance, or to your grandparents. Send that note through the mail. Great to be getting mail. I see that the letter carrier out there delivering mail. I think it would be wonderful for someone to receive a letter. And then this is something that I've been observing. Write some lyrics to a song using the current situation as a theme. I recently heard the song Let It Be by the Beatles, and the refrain Let It Be was replaced by Quarantine, which was really interesting. I also, earlier today, heard a song that was written in French. So you French students or Spanish students can write a song in that language. For the French students, the song that I heard was called Reste à la maison, stay home, which was really cool. So another suggestion, keep a journal. It's so great to be able to write your impressions of the day. Think about the positives and the negatives. In freshman transition, we have a high point, low point reporting at each time we've been meeting. And the students found that extra efficient. Oh, I see someone wrote the coronavirus blues. How amazing. You need to share that. Is it shared with people? Fantastic. So also email your counselor with questions, updates, or just to say hi. We really are available for you. We are here for you. This would be a wonderful opportunity to continue those conversations that we might have had if we were in school. So now we're getting towards the end of the program, and we have a little pep talk before we go on, and Andrea is going to introduce that. It's a little video.
Yep, so this little video, we hope that it is helpful to you, to keep you motivated, to keep you positive. Our little friend here, who is the narrator for this video, I think hopefully you'll find him funny and cute and gives you some motivation. one of the things that we just want to say, you know, before we log off in a few minutes here is that, you know, this is a temporary time in our lives. And, you know, I've done a lot of self-reflection myself over these last few weeks. And I've been thinking about my grandparents who were born in 1914 and 1916. My grandmother was in her 90s when she passed. Her brothers were older than her. Her one brother passed at 103. And so I think about the things that they went through. They were very young when they went through the Spanish flu, but they got through it. They got through World War I, World War II, the Great Depression. My grandmother was alive for 9/11, and I think about all of the things that they went through. And I remember as a kid them never talking about any of those things because they were bumps in the road, as my dad will often say. And, you know, this is a bump in our road, and hopefully the majority of us will live into our 90s or even 103 like my great uncle. And this will be something that we will look back on that we've gotten through together. And I think just having the perspective of that could be helpful, and try to stay positive, try to stay motivated. And I hope this little guy will help you to do so. So go ahead and you can run the video.
Okay, just let me know if you can't hear it. I think I figured it out. Oops. That's not it.
Smart.
Sorry.
I think it's just an ad.
Okay.
That might have just been an ad. I think you can click. Might be like a 3
Yep.
second.
Yeah.
January 2017.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, are we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My parts broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But once there really were two paths, I won't be the one that leads to awesome. Like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless you dream sleep. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, that's right. He retired. But before that, in high school, what if he had quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. This is our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. Everybody's youth to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You just been pep talk. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
Okay, so before we go through the last slide, I just want to thank Ellen Cohen, Andrea Pelicane, Aaron Kind, and Jim Agnello and Lisa DeSanto, who worked with us, who contributed to this as well. And Jim, I see you're in the audience. Would you like to add anything to this? And can you unmute Jim?
Yep, here we go, Jim.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, that I don't want to repeat anything that was said, but I think from my perspective, just really taking literally one day at a time, understanding that things are just not running smoothly. I know that students, particularly Bronxville students and other high achieving students, really want to still stay focused as they should on outcomes and things like that, but it's just not going to feel and walk the same way right now. So everybody will sort out all the bits and pieces as to what happens with grades and those things. Just really try to, take some of those, especially those mindfulness steps, and reach out to us at any point. We're all here for you. That's what the counseling, psychology, and all the school teachers are here for. So it may not feel the same way because we're not in school and you can't just pop into our office or classroom, but we're certainly willing to, speak with you, Zoom with you, whatever.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Jim. Thank you. So now the final slide is resources to keep at hand. And again, as Aaron Kine mentioned earlier with the other slide with the apps, these are just a few suggestions as to places that you can go. The first, the House Party app is gives you the ability to get together with your friends and to do something social if you like, to write one of those songs as a group, to dance and so forth. So this is a wonderful opportunity to interact with people in your own home. The next, Mr. Meyer's presentation. This is the study skills and organizational skills and goal setting program that Bill Meyer, our social studies teacher, does for the 9th grade and the senior transition leaders each fall. And it's really a wonderful addition to the whole idea of managing one's time and being productive. So I would invite you to check out that link and watch that as well. It's also on the Bronxville School website in the student section. Challenge Success Resources. Now, as you know, Challenge Success is an organization that Bronxville School partners with that believes that our society has become too focused on grades, test scores, and performance and leaves so little time for students to develop resilient and as motivated learners and ethical individuals. So we too want to promote student well-being, especially now, and your continued engagement with learning and understanding that success means how you develop over time. So hopefully at this time when things are so different from the normal, you students are developing skills of resilience and flexibility, and also those time management habits that will help them not just in school but in life. And to understand that these are the really important aspects of what we are learning is really a great thing. And then finally, the full time boxing video that we showed part of earlier in the program. So this concludes our time management presentation, and I understand that this, together with the presentation that Tom Viviano did on dealing with the stress and related issues of this time in our lives, will be placed on YouTube, so you can revisit it. And if I'm correct, Ann Meyer will be posting that. And we hope that in these two presentations, we've given you some suggestions, some things to think about. And please remember to contact us. We are here for you at any time. Thank you.
So why don't we just see if there's any questions for just a couple of minutes. And then, of course, with any individual questions or concerns, you can always reach out to your counselor, to Dr. Viviano, to Mr. Lassane, to myself. If you want to raise your hand and ask your question or put it in the chat, we'll just give people a minute or two if you have anything you want to ask. Thank you, Lisa and Margaret, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside. Please reach out if you need anything. Thanks, Anne, Ellen, Andrea, and Aaron. Thanks so much.
All right,
Appreciate
be well,
it, guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, be well. Be well.
Everybody.
Yes, you too.